Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the Depth Dive. We are continuing our sustained exploration of Oliver's upcoming retrospective album, A Dawn on the Earth.
In this project, it's really turning out to be a monumental self-audit. It's framed so brilliantly as this conversation across, what, 3 decades?
Yeah, a dialogue between the sheer chaos of his early life in the 1990s and then this hard-won, stable reality of his life now in 2025.
And the whole journey is, of course, leading up to that huge personal milestone,
Yeah.
his 50th birthday in 2026. We've analyzed the destructive nihilism of his youth, and we've celebrated the perseverance that led him to find real connection.
And today, we finally reach what feels like the definitive last word on the entire struggle.
I think so.
Exactly. Our focus today is laser sharp on the track Oliver himself has apparently called his quiet masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's the probable final song on the entire album, Fighting Till the Night. And it is a stunning piece of material to work with.
The sources describe it simply as an intimate, vulnerable acoustic song written just this year, 2025. And that choice alone, stripped down, personal, and serving as the absolute final statement, that's so telling.
It's not a big, aggressive rock anthem.
No, not at all. It's a whisper of profound honesty. And it immediately signals that this is the ultimate, the mature summary of his entire 3-decade fight.
So here's the central paradox we have to wrestle with, and it's a big one. Oliver has spent the most recent tracks we've looked at, songs like Lone and Simple Life, documenting the arrival of the dawn. He found stability, he found peace, he's got this committed life with his wife Dragana and their daughter Marina. That sounds like an ending, a resolution.
They should be, right?
It should be. Yet the album concludes not with rest, not with quiet peace, but with the commitment to fighting till the night.
It completely flips the script on what a happy ending is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
If the album is called A Dawn on the Earth, why does the very last track talk about fighting all the way to the evening and the night?
It suggests that the end of the crisis, the morning, that's just the beginning.
It's the beginning of sustained endurance, the long daily trudge.
So if the dawn arrived, the fight isn't over, it's transitioned from crisis management into maintenance.
Exactly.
It's the mature acknowledgement that stability is a verb, isn't it? It's a daily action, not a noun, not some destination you get to and just stop.
Absolutely. The victory isn't the battle ending. That's surrender, as we know all too well from his history.
Right.
The victory is the conscious decision to keep up the effort until the very end. And crucially, to choose to do it alongside a partner you trust. That's the new definition of success for him.
Let's start with the sound then, because the choice of genre here is, I think, arguably the most powerful structural statement of maturity on the whole album.
I'd agree with that.
Why did Oliver deliberately choose an intimate, vulnerable acoustic song for the closer? Sonically, it's almost anticlimactic.
Well, I think it's a profound, very deliberate rejection of his past defense mechanisms. You have to remember the context of his early work.
The heavy metal stuff.
Heavy metal stuff, yeah. The songs we looked at from A Night on the Earth, especially the title track and The City of Death, they were pure heavy metal. Aggressive, armored soundscapes designed to convey that existential extremity, that nihilistic rage.
He used volume and density almost like a shield.
To protect himself, yeah. To express the chaos without being completely destroyed by it.
Right. If his life felt like a war, his music had to sound like a fortress. He needed that sonic armor to fight the despair and to, contain his internal chaos with those metaphorical chains he sang about in You're My Home.
Precisely. The older songs required this huge, sometimes really complex production just to convey the scale of the internal pressure he was under. The stripped-back acoustic sound of Fighting Till the Night signifies that the need for that armor is it's gone.
The chaos has been contained.
Right. The confidence is now rooted internally, not in the distortion pedal or the studio reverb.
What's so fascinating about the acoustic choice is it forces total authenticity. There's nowhere to hide the vocal, no big production to mask a shaky emotion or a slightly imperfect note.
No, you're completely exposed.
So vulnerability here is no longer a risk that invites destruction, which was his great fear in the 90s. Now it's an earned state of being.
And that's the essence of the mature artist, isn't it? He could be this exposed because the foundation, that commitment to true love and peace, finding hope for Dragana and Marina, it's now strong enough to bear the full weight of his emotional honesty.
So the focus is entirely, almost ruthlessly, on the lyric and the core emotional truth. It forces you, the listener, to actually listen to the words.
No distractions.
Speaking of clarity, it's not just what he's saying now, but where he chose to put this statement. Let's talk about the weight of placement. Why is putting this song as the absolute final track on A Dawn on the Earth such a powerful, definitive choice?
Well, as the final track, it functions as the definitive retrospective answer to the 3 decades of struggle that the entire album documents. We've had all the chaos, all the fighting, the self-doubt, the hard-won victories, all laid out. This song, written in 2025, is the final conclusion. It's the ultimate summary.
And the album title, A Dawn on the Earth, signifies the arrival of light and stability after the darkness of a night on the Earth. Most listeners, I think, would expect a big, triumphant closing track, celebrating the sun coming up.
But he doesn't do that.
No.
Because Oliver knows that life doesn't just stop because the crisis is over. I mean, what happens after the dawn?
Life goes on.
Life goes on. The day, the struggles, the work, it continues. This closer defines the continuous effort required after the sun rises, the enduring of the inevitable evening and night that follow.
So it's setting the terms for the future, not just wrapping up the past.
Exactly. It's the final statement on the future of his stability, moving beyond that immediate crisis documented in his debut album.
And this mature acceptance of the life cycle, it starts in the very first lines, doesn't it? It sets the stage for the whole song. This analysis of time and acceptance. Midday has passed. All that is left is just the evening and night.
Midday here is so crucial. It symbolizes the peak intensity of the life and the struggle that he's already documented across the album, the chaos, the agonizing fight for stability, that relentless trudge.
It's the period of maximum intensity, the absolute heat of the day. That's over.
It's over. And that's such a profound shift, isn't it? The younger Oliver we heard in tracks like Laughing in the Rain or Tell Me Why, he was always desperate for immediate, absolute answers. He wanted an escape.
He wanted the crisis to resolve now.
Yes, he was impatient, demanding certainty. The mature narrator here acknowledges that the intensity is over, and now it's about endurance. It's about realistic planning and managing the rest of the journey.
He's looking forward, but with this profound realism. He knows the most chaotic part of his life is behind him, but the responsibility of living, that remains.
And that realism leads directly into the core emotional posture of the song, which is, I think, a key measure of his recovery. I'm not afraid of the dark, but I don't mind if you keep holding me tight.
That is a monumental statement of psychological recovery, especially when you contrast it with just the philosophical depth of his past despair.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think back to the nihilism that defined his youth, where he was completely alone, isolated in the city of death. The fear of the dark, the fear of the unknown, the existential dread that's gone, that is the hard-won victory.
But I want to challenge that slightly. If he's truly conquered the fear, why the need for the connection? Why keep holding me tight? Doesn't that suggest a kind of lingering dependency?
That's a great question, but I think the language he uses distinguishes it from dependency. It's not a desperate need, it's a gentle, chosen preference. I don't mind.
Ah, I see.
The acceptance of vulnerability is the key. This reliance is mutual, it's chosen, it's gentle, holding me tight. And that contrasts so sharply with the forced, necessary self-restraint of putting chains on my soul so it won't run away.
Which was his confession in You're My Home.
Yes.
And that contrast is essential for understanding the psychological journey. The chains were a violent internal necessity. He needed them to force stability on a chaotic self that threatened to destroy everything. It was brutal self-discipline.
Exactly. But holding me tight is a gentle, mutual external choice. It signifies that the internal chaos is managed enough that stability can now be maintained through mutual presence, rather than this exhausting, self-imposed restraint.
So the need to be held is no longer a mark of weakness.
No, it's a sign of vulnerability accepted and shared. He can now rely on his partner Dragana without the fear that this vulnerability will be exploited or used against him. That trust is the new foundation.
The chains are off because the hands holding him are trusted hands.
Moving into the second stanza, Oliver addresses the past turmoil through this very powerful but very quiet visual metaphor. It details the release of vain effort. Letters in sand peacefully waiting for the waves to roll by.
Letters in sand. That immediately brings to mind the fleeting nature of communication or the effort it takes to make a statement that's just going to be erased. What specific past efforts do you think this symbolizes for him?
I think it symbolizes the futility of his past efforts to find external proof or certainty.
Yeah.
Remember the agonizing wait for answers and laughing in the rain.
Crying in the vein.
He was waiting for some definitive sign of direction. Or think about the desperate quest for external vindication, for proof in the systemic condemnation of where is the justice. He spent so much emotional energy trying to get the world or the system or even his former self to just acknowledge the wrong that was done to him.
So all those past efforts to write his truth, to plead his case, to justify his pain, they were all just written in sand. He put monumental energy into seeking validation outside of himself.
And here's the key psychological pivot that's embedded in the lyric. He's peacefully waiting. This marks a massive shift toward maturity. The young Oliver would have been raging, trying to shield the letters from the waves, trying to preserve the proof of his suffering.
Yeah, building a wall around them.
Totally. The mature narrator is finally released from the need for the past to change or for the world to vindicate him.
That's powerful. He allows the old turmoil, the painful questions, the self-recriminations to just wash away. He's acknowledging their impermanence. The desperate fight to understand the past is finally over.
And the fight to endure the future has begun, unburdened by those old grievances.
This acceptance allows him to focus entirely on the present shared reality, which brings us to the affirmation of mutual trust and his role as the protector of secrets. Our secrets are safe. I will be carrying them into the night.
The word secrets is so loaded here, it immediately triggers that whole history of deception that plagued his early life. We have to connect this back through the entire album narrative, specifically the history of deceit and betrayal and self-sabotage that defined his first relationship.
All documented so extensively in A Night on the Earth.
Absolutely. Think of Life and Lies, where the entire relationship was framed as this game of mutual deception, a complex dance of hiding and seeking, or just the sheer volume of self-deceit and relationship lies he confessed to in You're My Home.
Where he admitted he was a terrible partner because he was hiding from himself.
Exactly. The young narrator struggled so profoundly with honesty and self-betrayal. Now, the mature narrator defines himself not as the liar, but as the guardian of their shared history, even the painful secret parts.
So he's choosing to carry this past, not to wallow in it, but to protect its truth through trust.
And this is maybe the most profound commitment he can make. For a man who once feared every connection was conditional, who was terrified of being exposed, to define himself as the protector of shared, intimate secrets. It means he has fundamentally redefined his relationship with integrity.
He's moved from being the perpetrator of lies to the protector of truth.
Yes. And by stating he will be carrying them into the night, he's essentially saying that their history is sealed. It's safe from external judgment, and crucially, safe from his own internal self-sabotage, which was always the greatest threat. That trust is the anchor.
And this commitment sets up the chorus perfectly. It's defining success on his own hard-won terms. He isn't looking for external validation anymore.
Not at all. The ultimate achievement, as he defines it, is not total victory over adversity, but persistent endurance through it. He is defining success not as freedom from struggle, but as freedom in the struggle, sustained by mutual trust.
Which brings us to it. Here is the emotional core of the entire retrospective, the thesis statement we've been building toward. We have to deep dive into these central lines. If someone asks you, I did all right, I kept on fighting till the night.
Let's start with that phrasing, I did all right. It is so deeply, almost shockingly understated. This is Oliver, a man who has overcome internal chaos that threatened his very life, achieved massive professional success, and built the stable family he so desperately craved. And he says, all right.
That's what I want to know. Doesn't I did all right sound a little bit apologetic or self-deprecating? I mean, given the monumental chaos he overcame. Why not claim I won the fight? Isn't that underselling the scale of his victory?
I think that understated phrasing is precisely the point. And it's a mark of genuine humility and maturity. It utterly rejects the grandiosity of fame, the financial metrics of his coding career, or the need for any of those external markers of winning.
So the world measures success by external metrics, sales, fame, awards.
Right. But Oliver measures success by one metric, moral and psychological survival.
So his success is purely defined by perseverance. He didn't seek to be great in the eyes of the world. He sought to be good in the eyes of his partner and in his own conscience. I did all right means I didn't destroy myself and I honored my commitments.
It's the ultimate statement of self-acceptance. And this statement, I kept on fighting till the night, is the definitive, decades-later proof that he obeyed the moral imperative he discovered through that tragic, cautionary tale of his youth.
And this is where the context of Hey Johnny becomes absolutely vital.
It's everything.
We have to establish that retrospective link. For those who may have missed our earlier deep dives, Hey Johnny, written back in 1995, was this devastating Springsteen-like rock ballad, and it detailed the ultimate moral failure of his friend Johnny.
Yes. Johnny surrendered to his internal chaos. He chose chemical escape dope as a simple, immediate relief from the unbearable quiet and the crushing expectation of fame and success.
And when Johnny died, his father's epitaph, etched in stone, commanded survival. "Hey, Johnny, you should have kept on fighting." That line was the genesis of Oliver's entire struggle for stability.
Johnny failed the fight mandate and died. He chose the simple relief of surrender. Oliver, now decades later, provides his own epitaph, a living one.
"I kept on fighting till the night."
This is the final, undeniable proof that he chose the difficult path of containment and persistence over the relief of surrender. He chose the painful chains on my soul over Johnny's chemical evasion, and the dividend is his stable life today with Dragana and Marina. The fight mandate has been fulfilled.
It transforms the line from just a simple statement of effort into a profound moral declaration. It's not just about his personal struggle, it's about his moral choice to stay engaged with life, however painful that trudge became.
And this commitment is reinforced immediately by the rejection of external defeat, which is the necessary next line. If someone tells you I lost the fight, no, I kept fighting till the night.
This line speaks so directly to the experience of any survivor of profound trauma or chaos. The world, or even well-meaning people, might look at his career path or past setbacks, or even his physical exhaustion, and define it as a loss.
And the narrator just refuses to allow that. He won't let external judgment, the world's perception of failure or loss or setbacks, define his inner truth. The world may see a loss, maybe a perceived failure to maintain some kind of grandiosity, or a business deal that went sideways.
But the act of persistence itself is the ultimate quiet victory.
Right. And what's truly fascinating here is how this framework redefines stability after trauma. It is not, as you said earlier, the absence of conflict. He's already acknowledged in other tracks that the shadow is still brewing in the West. The past is never fully erased.
So stability is the conscious, daily decision to remain engaged in the difficult process of life, to maintain the trudge against chaos.
Yes. So when the world says, you look tired, you lost, he counters, no, the fact that I'm still here, still committed, still enduring, that means I won. The fight itself is the success.
This idea of fighting till the night connects so beautifully to the continuous effort documented throughout his previous work. It's that long, rhythmic trudge.
We heard that weary, steady effort, implied by the heavy 68 rhythmic structure of those rock ballads like You're My Home and 3 Million Miles.
Right. That rhythm physically embodies the trudging effort required to maintain stability against constant internal pressure.
And we also heard the Keep On Riding mandate from the Lonely Cowboy in that country blues track, Where Is the Justice?
So Oliver has spent 3 decades telling us that the fight is the work, and the work is the commitment. Fighting till the night is simply the final, quiet, acoustic summation of that rhythmic, lifelong effort.
It takes that abstract commitment and makes it utterly personal, defined by the simple act of showing up every day.
And that consistent effort, that decades-long output of energy, it has to take a toll. This acknowledgement of the burden of that consistent effort moves us perfectly into the second stanza, where he confronts the unvanquished costs of this long struggle.
Yes, the song's integrity really hinges on the raw honesty of continued suffering. Oliver sings, everything aches, and all this burden has been wearing me down, feeling the pain.
This is absolutely crucial, isn't it? This prevents the song from becoming some sanitized fairy tale victory lap where the hero just walks off into the sunset completely unharmed.
Exactly. It proves that the dawn of stability does not magically erase the trauma or the exhaustion of fighting for 30 years against self-destruction and chaos.
The cost is real. The commitment requires a continuous energy output, and that output leaves physical and mental scars. The idea that everything aches suggests this deep cumulative fatigue, not just from a single crisis, but from a sustained war against his own nature.
He's admitting that the effort is draining, physically and mentally, even now in 2025, in his period of stability. This exhaustion connects directly back to the physical impossibility of action he felt in his nihilistic youth, trying to run but staying stationary in the city of death.
Back then, his strength was fading with his fears.
Right. Now the strength isn't fading, it's being continuously spent to maintain the stability he built.
And despite achieving this profound, committed connection, the next line shows us the persistent psychological residue, the trauma that remains embedded in his identity, and always feeling like a stranger in town.
This feeling of not belonging, it connects directly to the profound isolation of his younger self. In 3 Million Miles, he lamented feeling completely lost, 3 million miles east, west of nothing.
The trauma of the turbulent 1990s, the economic and political collapse, the betrayal he suffered, and the self-inflicted wounds, it left him with the identity of an outsider, a permanent cowboy in exile.
The paradox is so striking. He has successfully fought for and built a family and a home, but the psychological soldier still feels separated from the very society he saved himself for.
He's achieved connection, yet the residue of that outsider status remains permanent. That isolation is the price he continues to pay for the turbulence of his youth.
It's the ultimate honesty of the survivor. You build a normal life, but your perspective is forever shaped by what you endured. You can stand on your terrace, watching your family, as he describes in Lone and Simple Life, but still feel fundamentally separate from the crowd.
But that lingering pain and exhaustion are immediately countered by the partner's essential role, which provides immediate and unconditional meaning. I look in your eyes, I just know that everything still makes sense.
This is where the fighting becomes shared endurance. This moment of clarity is relational and it's immediate. When the world is chaotic, when his body aches, and when his mind reverts to that outsider feeling.
Her presence is the non-chaotic constant that anchors his perception.
That's it exactly. She provides the emotional truth that transcends logic. She prevents the collapse into internal despair. He was once desperately seeking external answers from the system in Where is the Justice? Or demanding proof from his partner in Tell Me Why.
And here, the sense is made not by vindication or logic or external systems, but by emotional certainty found simply in her eyes.
She is the steady course he sang about in Just the Rain. But now, the recognition is mature. The relationship is the anchor that maintains the stability he fought so hard for. Without that immediate clarity, the stranger in town feeling might just overwhelm him.
This anchors us in the song's ultimate conclusion regarding safety and vulnerability, which circles right back to that early idea of freedom from chains. There's nowhere to hide, but there's no need because I can still feel your hands.
The narrator accepts total emotional exposure, nowhere to hide. This is the mature opposite of the deception and secrecy he once relied on to survive, particularly in Life and Lies. He accepts his vulnerability completely.
But this vulnerability is neutralized by the absolute security of the partner's physical presence. Feel your hands. The need for self-protection is gone because the protection is externalized and mutual.
This is the full psychological resolution of the central conflict of his early work. The security replaces the violent self-restraint, those chains he needed to force himself into commitment, with gentle, accepted, mutual commitment.
He doesn't need to restrain himself because the security is built on shared reality, on trust, and on physical presence. The final fight is won because he is no longer fighting himself.
And then the song moves toward its absolute climax. It shifts one last time from internal struggle to external moral opposition, solidifying his core commitment to truth.
We have to analyze these powerful final lines. And if they nail me, for refusing lies, I will still fight them through the night.
This is the ultimate declaration of integrity, an unyielding moral stance. The conflict is no longer just about personal survival, but about standing up against deception itself. The threat of being nailed implies immense personal cost, maybe public condemnation or professional ruin.
But the commitment to integrity is absolute.
Absolutely.
Why do you think he specifically chose the word nail me? It carries such immense weight. It suggests betrayal, public suffering, even a kind of martyrdom for a moral cause.
I think it reflects the high stakes he faced throughout his career, particularly during the 90s, where he struggled with systemic injustice and was tempted by deceit. When you look back at his history, the greatest threats to his relationships and his sanity were not external catastrophes.
They were lies.
They were internal and external lies. He is setting a boundary that cannot be crossed.
And we have to connect this back through the entire album narrative to fully grasp the weight of refusing lies.
The entire journey is a path away from deceit. It's refusing the relationship deceit in Life and Lies, refusing the financial transaction of love and How to Buy Love, and crucially, refusing the systemic corruption that murdered justice in the world around him in Where is the Justice?
So that initial quest for external vindication and truth in 1995 becomes, 3 decades later, a final, unyielding moral stance, a vow to Dragana, Marina, and to himself.
It's a fascinating synthesis. The external fight for justice has been internalized as a commitment to personal truth, and he will defend it even against overwhelming pressure, even if it costs him dearly.
And notice the profound difference in the commitment in this final line. Fighting till the night versus fighting through the night. It's a subtle but critical shift in language.
It's huge.
Fighting till the night implies sustaining the effort until the natural conclusion of life, right? The expected end point of the journey. What does fighting through the night extend?
Fighting through the night extends that effort beyond the anticipated endpoint. It commits him to maintain the moral high ground and that relational clarity even during the darkest, most difficult times, the unexpected crises, the deep self-doubt, the emotional pain, the actual moments of being nailed by external forces.
So it's a commitment to integrity even in the absence of light or certainty.
Exactly. He's not just committing to maintaining stability while the sun is up. He's committing to defending his truth when everything around him suggests giving up or compromising. This is the definition of applied wisdom, isn't it?
It is. Oliver's struggle remains. Everything aches. He still feels like a stranger in town. But he chooses endurance, truth, and commitment, securing the future for which he wrote these new songs. His life with Dragana and his daughter Marina.
The fight is the work. And the work is the choice to live honestly and committedly, no matter the cost.
This track, Fighting Till the Night, it confirms that Oliver successfully managed his trauma. He built a future that structurally rejects the nihilism and isolation that claimed Johnny and threatened his own life in the city of death. He is closing the book on the internal war.
But the stability he celebrates is not a passive state. It is a continuously shared choice to endure, a trudge sustained by mutual commitment and relentless moral integrity. The chaos is behind him, but the responsibility of maintaining the peace, that's a lifetime commitment.
So, to synthesize this final deep dive, Fighting Till the Night is Oliver's intimate, honest summary of his 30-year journey. He concludes that stability is not a destination where the struggle ends.
No, it's a continuous shared choice to endure, to commit to moral truth, and to sustain the fight alongside a trusted partner.
The ultimate victory isn't found in the grandiosity or the certainty of the dawn.
It is found in the absolute, quiet commitment to fight through the night, knowing the struggles are only passing by, but the moral effort must remain constant. The fight mandate from Hey Johnny has been completed, but the fight for the good life continues every single day.
And this leaves us with a truly provocative final thought to carry forward. The song suggests that the highest form of victory over self-destruction is found not in the ability to stand alone, self-sufficient, and armored,
but in the profound acceptance of vulnerability.
Is the truest measure of strength for a survivor, not the power to defeat all darkness, but the courage to accept that you need the light that someone else provides.
Committing to the daily trudge of endurance, knowing that you will keep fighting because you have someone who will keep holding you tight.
The hard-won home is only maintained by fighting until, and then fighting through, the night. A profound message of quiet endurance and shared commitment. Thank you for diving deep with us into Oliver's quiet masterpiece.
We hope you take this concept of persistence and shared vulnerability with you.
Until then, keep digging.